We're all using generative AI pretty much every day now, but that brings up a really big question. How do we actually know if these things are any good? Today, we're going to dive deep into this super complex world of measuring the quality of large language models, or LLMs.
So yeah, how do you grade an AI? It sounds like a simple question, right? But it really gets to the very heart of the challenge we're facing. And as you're about to see, the answer is, well, it's anything but simple.
I think this is the best way to frame the problem. Think about it. Evaluating the old school AI was basically like grading a multiple choice test. You had a question, and there was one clear, correct answer. Easy. But with today's generative models, it's much more like grading a creative essay. There isn't just one right answer, and suddenly quality is way more subjective. And because of that huge shift from these clear black and white answers to this gray area of subjective creativity, the old rulebook just gets tossed right out the window. The metrics we've been relying on for years, they're just not built for this new world. Okay, so let's break down exactly why the old ways fail so hard. With an LLM, there's no fixed, correct answer to check against. The AI could give you a summary, a poem, a block of code. The formats are all over the map. And this is the big one. Subjective things like tone and style actually matter now. An answer can be 100% factually correct, but totally useless if it's rude or just impossible to read. So, if the old way is broken, what do? We can't just throw our hands up and guess. What we need is a totally new framework, a new way to measure quality that actually embraces all this complexity instead of trying to ignore it. This new approach really splits evaluation into two key parts. On one side, you've got your quantitative evaluation. Think objective, automated scores, the hard numbers. But on the other side, you have qualitative evaluation, and this needs actual human judgment to understand context and all that nuance. And here's the kicker. You absolutely need both. You can't get the full picture with just one. So, the first dimension in our new framework is the one we all think of first, right? Correctness. Is the information it's giving you factually accurate? This is the absolute table stakes for any AI system that you're going to trust. But here's the thing. An answer can be perfectly correct and still be completely useless. And that brings us to our second dimension, relevance. I mean, if you ask for the weather in Paris and you get a beautifully written, 100% accurate history of the Eiffel Tower, well, the model has failed on relevance. Next up, we've got coherence. This is all about the quality of the writing itself. Does the response actually make sense? Does it flow logically from one point to the next? Or is it just a jumbled mess? A rambling, disorganized answer isn't helpful, even if it's technically correct and relevant. Okay, now for one of the most critical dimensions of all, bias and safety. You have to evaluate a model on whether it avoids spitting out harmful, toxic, or discriminatory content. This isn't just some nice-to-have technical check. It's a foundational requirement for any system to be considered responsible and, frankly, usable. And finally, we have to get practical and talk about the business reality of it all, token efficiency. You can think of tokens as little pieces of words that the AI processes, and every single one costs money to generate. So the question here is the model giving us great answers without being ridiculously expensive to run? This ties the model's performance directly to whether it's actually viable in the real world. So now we have the framework for what we need to measure. But how do you actually go about doing it? Let's open up the toolkit and look at these specific tools and metrics the pros are using. All right, these are some of the key quantitative or automated metrics. For instance, a metric called Rouge is great for judging how good a summary is. BERT's score is fantastic for figuring out if two sentences basically mean the same thing, even if they use different words. We've also got metrics for things like hallucination rates, which is crucial, and latency. And we'll get to that last one, RAGs, in just a second. Then you've got the qualitative side. This is where we measure the stuff that an automated score just can't really get its head around. We do it by asking really simple questions. Is the answer easy to understand? Is it actually useful? Is the tone right for what I asked? This is where having a human in the loop is absolutely essential. Now let's zoom in on a special type of system called RAG. That stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. These are systems that actually go look up information from a specific knowledge base, like your company's internal documents, before they answer a question. And that requires its own special checks. We have to ask, did it pull the right info from that knowledge base? Did it miss anything important? And this is key. Did it actually use the info it found to build the answer? Okay, so we've got the framework and we've got the tools, but how do you put it all together into a strategy that actually works in the real world? Let's map out what that looks like.
This right here is a fantastic step-by-step roadmap for real enterprise deployment. You see how it works? You start small with manual reviews when you're just prototyping. Then, as you build out an MVP, you start bringing in some automated scoring. By the time you get to production, it's all about continuous monitoring. And once you're at scale, you're using sophisticated stuff like A/B testing to constantly tweak and improve. It's a journey of getting more and more sophisticated over time.
And all along that journey, especially in those early stages, this is your best friend, the human scorecard. It's just a structured way for your domain experts to rate responses across all those key qualitative dimensions we talked about. It makes sure the model isn't just technically working, but that it's actually valuable and useful to a real person. At the end of the day, all of these metrics, all these scorecards and strategies, they're all pointing toward one single, really important goal. And it's not just about getting a high score on a test. And this is the whole point right here. LLM evaluation isn't just about accuracy. It's about building trust. It's about making sure that the system is safe, that it's useful, that it's explainable, and that it's reliable every single time a user interacts with it. That's the real endgame. And the only way you get to that goal of trust is by making your evaluation process continuous. It never stops. It has to be multidimensional, looking at all those different things we covered. And you have to automate as much as you can just to keep up as the model keeps changing and evolving. Which really brings us back to the final question. When you look at this whole framework, everything from correctness and safety all the way to cost and usability, is your LLM truly ready for all the complexities and demands of the real world? Thanks for joining me.